Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning for another news update for Saturday, September 27, 2025. And I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, murder suspect arrested, submachine gun seized in St. Anne operations. A person of interest in an ongoing murder investigation was arrested, and a submachine gun, along with dozens of rounds of ammunition, seized during two operations in St. Anne on Friday, police say. The person of interest was one of 6 people held during the first operation in Bamboo, St. Anne, about 7 a.m. A man who was wanted on an outstanding civil court warrant was also arrested, along with another man who was arrested for breaches of the Dangerous Drugs Act. 3 women were also taken into custody for processing. About 2 p.m. the same day, the Specialized Operations Branch collaborated with their St. Anne colleagues for a second operation in Green Acres, Miami Bay, where 3 premises were searched. A Kel-Tec submachine gun, which was fitted with a magazine containing 16 9mm rounds of ammunition, was found at the rear of one of the premises. 1 Glock magazine with 12 9mm rounds of ammunition and 11 5.56 rounds of ammunition was also seized. 2 people were arrested in connection with the find. However, their identities are being withheld by the police. Butler charged in connection with a multi-million-dollar robbery. A 31-year-old butler has been charged in connection with a multi-million-dollar robbery in St. James in June. Charged with a robbery with aggravation and unlawful wounding is Nicoy Ramsey, otherwise called Nick, of Esher, Hanover. Reports are that about 8:30 p.m., 2 employees of a trading company were traveling in a motor truck when, upon reaching a section of the roadway at the intersection of Upper Bevan Avenue and the Market Circle, Ramsey and another man, who were both armed, allegedly attacked them and robbed them of approximately $7 million. One of the attackers also allegedly hit the driver of the motor truck, causing a wound that bled. The incident was subsequently reported to the police, and an investigation was immediately launched into the matter. On Wednesday, September 17, Ramsey, accompanied by his attorney, surrendered at the Negril police station. Ramsey was handed over to detectives in St. James and subsequently charged after he was pointed out during an identification parade. His court date is being finalized. St. Catherine man accused of land fraud granted $500,000 bail. A St. Catherine man accused of selling land he does not own and collecting $1.5 million from a woman was on Friday granted $500,000 bail with a surety in the parish court. Dedrick Smith, 47, a driver of Binloss District, is charged with obtaining money by means of false pretense. In applying for bail, attorney-at-law Fabian Campbell told the senior parish court judge Desiree Elaine that Smith made a mistake and would be able to make restitution if granted bail. The clerk of court revealed in court the title for the land, which showed the rightful owner. In granting bail, the judge ordered Smith to surrender his travel documents and report twice weekly to the Yuatan police. He is to return to court on October 21. Allegations are that in 2018, the complainant was introduced to Smith, who indicated that he had lots of land for sale. The woman reportedly selected a lot and was told it cost $2 million. She allegedly paid Smith $1.5 million. Efforts to close the deal did not materialize as Smith allegedly became elusive. Checks with the National Land Agency revealed the true ownership of the land. A report was made to the police, and following an investigation, Smith was arrested and charged. Stand Up for Jamaica alarmed by police fatal shootings adds to calls for body cameras. Human rights group Stand Up for Jamaica says it is deeply alarmed at the sharp rise in police-involved fatalities and is adding its voice to calls for the use of body-worn cameras. The organization says recurring reports of officers not wearing body-worn cameras especially during planned operations, is an issue of concern. Citing data from the Independent Commission of Investigations, it noted that 230 persons have been fatally shot by the security forces so far this year. By the same date in 2024, the total was 131, representing an approximate 76% increase year-on-year. Moreover, September alone has seen at least 20 fatal shootings, marking the 10th consecutive month in which 20 or more persons have been killed in encounters with state agents, it was noted. These numbers are not just statistics. They speak to lives lost, families devastated, and a deepening mistrust in the institutions meant to protect public safety. One of the most troubling patterns in the recent incidents is that no body-worn cameras were reported as active or in use during the critical moments of these interventions. Indicom itself has noted that none of the officers involved in the recent killings were reported to have been wearing body-worn cameras. Independent commentary has underscored that this absence raises serious questions about the transparency, asserted Stand Up Jamaica. As one commentator observed, if cameras had been worn, they might either corroborate lawful police conduct or expose misconduct, providing clarity and accountability for all parties. In the case of the fatal shooting of 22-year-old Jamar Ferguson in Clarendon on September 15, media reports and the CCTV footage show him opening his door with his hands up, yet he was killed subsequently. We affirm the principle that body-worn cameras are for protection and accountability for all, not only to guard against the misconduct, but also to shield the officers and the citizens from false or misrepresented claims. The human rights group wants the mandatory activation of body-worn cameras during all police interventions, especially operations in which force may be used. Officers should not have discretion to disable or deactivate these cameras during interventions. Stand Up for Jamaica also joins its voice to Jamaicans for Justice in petitioning for legislation to mandate the Jamaica Constabulary Force to use body-worn cameras, requiring their mandatory use and deployment during planned and tactical operations. Advocates Association wants removal of DPP power to block judge-alone trials. The Advocates Association of Jamaica is calling for a major change in how serious criminal trials are conducted. Specifically, the association wants the removal of the Director of Public Prosecution's power to block judge-alone trials even when the accused has chosen that option. The call comes amid a low uptake of judge-alone trials despite encouragement from the Chief Justice. Attorney-at-law and Assistant Secretary of the Advocates Association, Kimberly Whitaker, expressed a concern over the current system. While noting former DPP Paula Llewellyn's support for a hybrid approach, Ms. Whitaker argued that Jamaica's judiciary is fully competent to handle such matters.
The outgoing DPP, she spoke of a hybrid approach, which is new to us. We've never heard that term being used in relation to judge-alone trials and trial by jury. And we're saying that our position at the Advocates Association of Jamaica is that we stand squarely behind our judiciary. We submit that they're competent and very well able to assess credibility as it relates to the ventilation of matters. We came under severe pressure, as I said, back around COVID time, and we moved with the program. We understood that it changes how we know procedure to occur. It will develop, it will morph. And the law came in, judge-alone trials came in for gun matters. We got on board. As it relates to murder matters and rape matters, it's trial by jury, and we have the necessary discussions, and if our clients deem that they want their matter to be heard speedily in front of a competent tribunal, who are we to withhold that from them?
Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.